What a wild weekend of NFL football, and we continue on finishing out the rest of the regular season. Hello, everybody. I'm Noah Clark. This is Snap the Pigskin, and we've got a great show for you today. We got to talk about the Kansas City Chiefs. They might be cooked, losing to the Houston Texans. The Colts quarterback situation, a shocking quarterback move. The Saints beating the Bucks. Here come the Panthers trying to race for the number one spot in the NFC South, and the Packers Bears renewing the rivalry, and the Packers coming out victorious. We'll also talk bringing home the bacon and our Pigskin Primetime Picks. So let's get right into it here. Let's start with first down in our drive of the week. The Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City might be cooked. The Kansas City Chiefs losing on Sunday Night Football. The final score of that game, 20-10. And Kansas City drops to 6-7 on the season. 6-7. I know I'm going to be getting ripped on by that, but Kansas City loses at home. This is only their second loss of the year at home. They lose to the Texans. Houston now kind of in the race for first place in the AFC South. They sit a game behind the Jaguars, while Kansas City is sitting right now in third place in the AFC West. They are clinging to their playoff hopes, and I mean clinging to their playoff hopes. Look, we knew what this was going to be for Kansas City. We knew coming in for the Chiefs. This was one of those years where you look at Kansas City, they are very much in trouble. They are very much a team that needed to bounce back, needed to get something going, needed to get a little bit of a spark for this Chiefs team. And I've been saying week in and week out, I've been saying it for the last few weeks that, okay, every time the Chiefs have won, that's the kick of the pants they need. That's the spark that gets them going. That's the thing that gets them going. That's this, that's that, that's this, that's that. And frankly, honestly, I thought that they were going to somehow turn the corner. I really thought they were. And now you look at Kansas City. They're sitting 6-7. They're sitting right now in third place in the division. They're not even going to make the playoffs at this point unless if a lot of things have to happen. But they got to get it right. They got to get it right, and they got to get it right fast. They are falling behind in the playoff race. Another loss kind of dooms them here for their season. And for Kansas City, a team that has been so consistent over the years of just winning, has lost 2 straight now. And now have the LA Chargers at home this week. They have to win this game. A loss to the Chargers would cost them the season. Cost them the season, cost them the playoffs, cost them the playoff race, which is something that I never thought I'd be sitting up here saying. The Kansas City Chiefs missing the playoffs. Never thought that would happen in my lifetime. Or at least not in my lifetime. Never thought that that would happen. More of just seeing Kansas City fall apart. Because you look, they have Patrick Mahomes. They have Andy Reid. They have a great defense. Steve Spagnuolo. This is a very good team. Why can't they get it right? You know? A lot of questions. And I do think if Kansas City doesn't make the playoffs, I do think there's a lot of questions that have to be answered this offseason. For starters, it has to come from the offense. And it has to start by having some of those hard conversations, one of which being Travis Kelce. You have to look at this offseason for Travis Kelce as we need to find his replacement. We cannot go next year with him being our starting tight end. And the only reason I say that is because he's not been necessarily a threat for anybody in the AFC. I mean, he leads the team, yes, receiving yards, but you look at overall in the NFL, this year in terms of receiving. He's not even in the top 5, not even in the top 10 in receiving yards. And you look at, on top of that, for tight ends this year, he's second among tight ends in receiving yards, but he's 24th in receiving yards this year. Not, I don't want to say, okay, that's a good stat. It's not really. I mean, it's a bad stat this year. He's not been good. He hasn't really had as much of an impact as we've seen him in past years. And I do think if you're Kansas City, you have to think about this offense and you have to think about this team moving forward. And it has to start by having that hard conversation of, do we let Travis Kelce go? Or is it time for Travis Kelce to hang it up? Because they cannot move forward with this team being this bad. This is a team that right now, their wide receiving core is iffy at best. You look at it, Rashee Rice missed most of the season. He came back, and yeah, he's been very reliable to Patrick Mahomes, but it's almost too late. Xavier Worthy as well. Xavier Worthy got hurt, missed most of the season, and he came back, but relatively too late. I look at Kansas City, they just don't look like the same offense to me. They look like an offense that is going to run the ball with Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco. Yeah, they're going to get your yards. But when you look at the passing game, you look at Patrick Mahomes, Mahomes is the guy who leads that thing and who leads that offense. And this offense, particularly for me, is missing one key important piece. This team is missing a Tyreek Hill. They are missing a downfield threat. They do not have it with Xavier Worthy. They don't have it with Rashee Rice. They have guys who are good, who are good in terms of in terms of, in terms of yards after the catch. And they're guys who are just good, receivers on the boundary and receivers who can go out and make a good catch and move the sticks. But they need somebody who can catch and can be an impact player, short, intermediate, long, every time he touches the ball. They don't have that. They do not have that. They used to have that in Tyreek Hill, and they traded him. And so there is that question of, with Kansas City, do you think about moving on from Mahomes, or not moving on from Mahomes? That's insane. Do you consider moving on from Travis Kelce? Do you consider revamping the offense? Do you consider giving Mahomes more weapons, particularly in the passing game? Because right now, he does not have a really good wide receiving core. He just doesn't. He has Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Marquise Brown, Tyquan Thornton. And those guys are good, but they're not really world beaters. They're not really guys who can come in and make an impact right on the spot, which is why I keep bringing this up. And I say they need a Tyreek Hill. They need somebody who can be the factor in every game. You look at it now, the factor is you cover Travis Kelce and it's over. And now with Travis Kelce maybe losing a step this year, there is that concern. So that's a whole nother topic for the offseason, and that'll be something I'll talk about a lot in the offseason for the Kansas City Chiefs. For Houston, this is a massive win for the Texans. I mean, talk about, gutsy as it gets. Houston is gutting it through week after week after week. And yet again, they find a way to win. They find a way to win these tough games. They find a way to sneak it out and get the job done. And you look at here, now they're sitting a game behind first place in the AFC South, which, is really insane, because given the fact this Texans team was sitting dead in the water, they were not a necessarily good team, and they've somehow managed to figure it out. I think particularly it's been because the defense has been really, really good, and the running game has been really, really good too. Woody Marks and Nick Chubb, I think, have been a really good tandem, especially Woody Marks, picking him up. They've helped C.J. Stroud a bit in the passing game. And C.J. Stroud, yeah, he's a bit iffy. He hasn't really looked like the C.J. Stroud we saw in his rookie year, but he still is making plays for the Houston Texans. When it matters the most, he still is able to deliver and go and do something special. I do think if you're Houston, this is a huge win for you because not many people can go into Arrowhead and win. Not many people can go into Arrowhead and steal a game against the Chiefs. So, and now, if you're Houston, you have to watch out for the Indianapolis Colts, the other team that they have to chase as we get into our second down here. Indianapolis and the Colts losing to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I've been saying the last few weeks they have been kind of in a free fall. They have been in kind of a free fall. They haven't been playing particularly well. I said that the AFC South is not over yet. That race is not done. And they suffer their third straight loss. They've already lost to the Chiefs, the Texans, and the Jaguars. They still have to play the Jaguars and the Texans again. They don't have to play the Titans again. But they have the Seahawks coming up this week. Must-win game for the Colts. Their season's kind of on the line, and what makes it worse is Daniel Jones is out. Suffered an Achilles injury for the Indianapolis Colts. His season's over, and what a good season it was for Daniel Jones. Kind of a comeback season for him to turn it around. I don't know if that's going to continue on, if that turnaround season's going to get them going in the right direction. But good for the Colts. But he suffers an Achilles injury, ends his season. They go to Riley Leonard as their backup. Riley Leonard, who's a rookie this year, is their backup. He can't play because he has a knee injury. So the Indianapolis Colts do by far the wildest thing. You don't go out and get a veteran quarterback. That's what I would do. You would go out and get a guy, who's been through it. You don't, try your rookie out here. I mean, they could activate Anthony Richardson. That's what I would do. You'd activate Anthony Richardson. But no. They decided to go to Philip freaking Rivers. And yes, I said that right. Philip Rivers. They decided to go to him, the 44-year-old quarterback who, by the way, has not played a game, has not played an NFL snap since 2020. And this was almost 5 years ago. Okay? This is wild, wild stuff. Wild, wild stuff. And the Colts signed him to their practice squad, bringing him on to the practice squad. And he has a long shot. And I'm talking about very long because he is very much very, very old. But he has a long shot of starting this Sunday against the Seattle Seahawks. And you want to know how real it is? Indianapolis just gave Philip Rivers his old jersey number back, the number 17, which was Daniel Jones's number. So they gave him his number and gave it to Philip Rivers. This is real, people. It would be insane to see Philip Rivers go out and play in an NFL game. Now, here's the other thing, too, about Philip Rivers. Why this is very huge for Philip is because he could potentially lose his chance at being immortalized in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. The ruling is if an NFL player is retired and for more than over 6 years, he will be eligible for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Keep in mind, Philip Rivers is a semifinalist this year. He's a semifinalist this year for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Could be a first ballot Pro Football Hall of Famer for the LA Chargers / San Diego Chargers. But if he does not play, if he gets put on the activated roster, if he gets put on the active roster and he's activated for Sunday's game, it would reset the clock back 5 years. So 2026, 2025, 2026 would be when he would be eligible for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. If that were to happen, if he were to be active, he would have to wait till 2030 to be put into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And holy cow. I don't know what more you can say on that. And I am baffled by this. Baffled, floored, and just, shocked by how this has turned out for the Colts. I mean, Anthony Richardson, if you don't want to play Anthony Richardson, just say you don't want to play Anthony Richardson. I completely understand this. But what makes this even more what makes this even more ridiculous is you have other options. If you're the Indianapolis Colts, you have other options. You have so many other options. Yet they chose to go with the 44-year-old quarterback who's coaching high school football down in Alabama, who's not been playing football since the pandemic started in 2020, hasn't thrown a football since that time. You're asking him to save your season, potentially. Like, it's a tall task, brother. It's a tall task. And I'm shocked that he even thought about coming out of retirement for this. Shocked by it. So, very floored. Very floored. Third down. We stay in the South. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers losing to the New Orleans Saints. Here come the Panthers. Carolina had their bye week this week. Carolina did not play, and they got to watch the Tampa Bay Buccaneers potentially blow their chance at the division lead. It's basically a two-man race now for the AFC South. With the Falcons and the Saints both being eliminated from playoff contention. It's down to a two-horse race, the Panthers and the Bucs. Carolina and Tampa Bay, these two teams still have to meet each other twice. They have to meet each other twice, and they don't, and there's still one more game left. Carolina plays the Saints. The Buccaneers this week will play. Give me 1 second. I will need to look this up. The Buccaneers will play the Falcons. So it's a divisional AFC or an NFC divisional matchups that are going to be happening. But man, coming out of this would be huge for either team. Win or lose would be huge. And both these teams are tied. 7-6. Playoffs were to start today. The Panthers or the Bucs would be getting the 4 seed. Tampa Bay would host a playoff game, but the Bucs would get in the playoffs with a tiebreaker over Carolina based on best win percentage in common games. So Carolina would miss the playoffs, but a win and a sweep over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers could be something so huge. Yeah, Tampa Bay need to figure it out. Carolina this year, what a job for Dave Canales. In, his second year? He's got this Panthers team going in the right direction. And it's simply because they've ran the football. They've stuck with their defense. They've also won a lot of games that I don't think many people thought they'd win. They beat the Rams. They beat the Packers earlier this year. So it really is something how the Panthers this year are stunning some teams. But then you also have for Carolina, you have them losing games to San Francisco. They lost a bad one to the Niners to take the division lead away from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And they blew it. So now you have the Bucs in the same, still falling. I mean, the Bucs are in a free fall right now. They have struggled the last few weeks. They dropped a bad one to the Saints. Now they have to play the Falcons. And this is kind of all or nothing here for both these teams the rest of the season. It really is. You cannot lose any of the one loss and basically your season's screwed. And especially coming up with these two teams meeting 2 out of the next 3 weeks. And the winner gets the NFC South and gets to be in the playoffs and gets to host a playoff game. What more could you ask for? What more could you ask for down the stretch? It's truly fun. It is truly, truly fun. I do think if you're any team if you're any fan of these two teams, you'd be very excited to watch both of these two teams play. So good luck to them. Now, 4th down. We have another divisional matchup. This one was the highlight of the entire weekend. Down to the wire, the Packers pulling out the victory against the Chicago Bears. And the Packers once again steal a victory or get another victory against the Chicago Bears. Green Bay now jumping into first place in the NFC North. Chicago jumping down to second place in the NFC North. And Green Bay now up to the 2 seed in the NFC. The Rams winning does bump the Rams back up to a 1 seed. If the Rams had lost and Green Bay had won, Green Bay would be the 1 seed. But yeah, this was a fun game. Green Bay and Chicago back and forth. This was down to the wire. Green Bay actually was up in this game, and Chicago came back and found a way to win it and found a way to not win it, found a way to make it close at the end. And Caleb Williams on a rollout looking for Cole Kmet. And it's intercepted by Keyshawn Nixon. And the Bears lose that game. They now drop from the 1 seed all the way to the 7th seed. If the playoffs were to start today, Chicago would be sitting as the 7th seed, but Chicago would be playing Green Bay at Green Bay. So it would be the 3rd time this season that these two teams would be meeting, and there'd be a lot of history there. And mind you, Green Bay still has to go to Chicago. They have to go to Soldier Field. They'll play Chicago next week on a Saturday. So that'll be something to look forward to for both of these teams. And whoever wins that game, I think essentially wins the division. I don't think anybody really can catch Green Bay. Green Bay's 4-0. Chicago is 1-3 this year in division play. The only team that I believe really can catch them is the Detroit Lions. Detroit right now is sitting at they're also sitting on a 1-3 division record. But they've also got swept by the Packers. They still sit a game behind the Bears. I do believe they have to play the Bears twice. Or no, they play the Bears again down the stretch of the season. They play them at the end of the season. And they play them the week after Christmas to close out the year. So that could be a deciding game. And if you're the Lions, you're still hanging on. And I said this too. I said I think the Lions may still win this division. I don't know if Green Bay can hold on to it. I mean, it's still up in the air. I don't know if Green Bay can hold on to it. They have Denver this week. Denver's a really good team. And especially late in the season too, a potential slip up and really things could change. For Chicago and for the Bears, I will give credit to Chicago. Being a Packers fan, I will give credit to Chicago. They really battled back and found a way to win this game. And I will give credit to the Chicago Bears once again. I think they found their coach after several tries. I think they have found their coach in Ben Johnson. They have missed on a couple coaches, Matt Nagy, Matt Eberflus, John Fox. They missed on Mark Trestman. You could add another one in there. They've missed on a few. But I think what has helped them over the years is they've, sucked for so long that nobody really seems to care about them. But they've been able to pile up some draft picks and pile up some talent. And you look at back in the Eberflus era, they did get some talent. They got Tremaine Edmonds, TJ Edwards. Their secondary has got a lot better. The offense has got better too. And the reason why I think that they've got it right with Ben Johnson is because Caleb Williams. You just got to hope that they stick with Caleb Williams, and you got to hope that they don't fall apart. And that was the case on Sunday. Things did not look good. Caleb Williams at one point was 1 for 7 for 2 passing yards. He was awful in this game against Green Bay at one point. Could not throw the ball. But, man, they could sure run that rock. And they adjusted in the second half. Ben Johnson adjusted. They ran the ball with Swift and Monangai. And they were able to really pick up some chunks of yardage. Not long plays, just chunks, just little bits and pieces here and there. And they're able to get stuff done. And I honestly thought the Bears were going to make this game. We're going to force this game into overtime. And I thought they were going to win. I seriously thought that they could win this game. But, man, if you are the Packers, you have got to be thanking the football gods for something, because, man, they really should have lost this game. They were not good in the second half on the defensive side. Chicago was looking to go down and score and tie the game again. And not give Green Bay any time to get the ball back. And I do think, man, Keyshawn Nixon with the biggest play of the game. And the Bears, too, drawn up a really good play. I thought Ben Johnson drawn up a really good play. It's just that Caleb Williams just tried to force it. And he forced it to the wrong guy. So they'll meet again in a couple weeks, and who knows? I do think the Bears and Packers will split the series. I think even if Green Bay wins at Denver and the Bears lose to Cleveland, I just don't see this division being wrapped up this early. I don't see it being wrapped up. Green Bay, yes, they're 4-0 in division play. I don't see it being wrapped up. This season so far has taught me a lot of things, and it's taught me don't underestimate every single week because you never know what's going to happen. We've seen the Panthers beat the Packers at Lambeau. We've seen the Browns this year beat the Packers at Cleveland. We've seen the Rams lose to the Panthers. We've seen things that have just been wild, wild, wild this year. So I don't count this division being over yet. I was really excited after they beat the Bears because I was like, we're 4-0. But after thinking about it, I'm like, well, we're 4-0, but we still got the Broncos and the Bears and the Ravens and the Vikings and all of those teams. And three out of the 4 teams are still competing for a division title, or still not for a division title, for a playoff spot. So it's not necessarily over. And it may not be over until the last week of the season, which I'm hoping it's not, because I want to just have a nice, relaxing week 17, week 18, just kind of relaxer, just where I can just sit back, hands on the head, and just enjoy some good football. Enjoy football. Probably won't get that for a few weeks. So, all right, moving on. We're going to get to bringing home the bacon. We're going to wrap up our show and get out of here and enjoying the rest of your week. This player dominated in the win down in the desert. I'm talking about Mr. Puka Nacua. 7 receptions, 167 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns, and a blowout win over the Arizona Cardinals. He gets on the slab of bacon this week for the Arizona Cardinals, or for the LA Rams. And, man, I've said it, LA is pretty freaking good. That machine is just rolling. It just keeps on rolling, keeps on moving nonstop. So Congrats to the Rams. They got the 1 seed right now, so the road to the Super Bowl could go through LA, but it could change potentially down the stretch of the year. The Lions play the Rams coming up here. And if you're a Packers fan and you're rooting for the Lions this week, man, you better hope that they can pull that win off. So moving on now to our Pigskin Primetime Picks. Let's get right into it. We're going to start with our first game of the day or of the evening, the Thursday night football game, the Falcons and the Bucs. Last year, Atlanta kind of had the Bucs number. Which was shocking. They swept the Bucs last year in the regular season, if I recall. I got Atlanta losing this game, though. I think Tampa Bay need to get off the schneid. They need to figure out how to start winning some games. They need to figure out how to start getting back, and start looking like the Bucs team that we saw a season ago, where that offense was just electric from start to finish. And this is a game that I think, they could really do that. I mean, Kirk Cousins is the quarterback for the rest of the season. I don't know if Kirk's going to pull off another Thursday night miracle, but who knows? However, I got Bucs by 7. Now on to the Sunday night football game. This is a good Sunday night football game. This is an underrated one, in my opinion, for NFL fans. Vikings-Cowboys. I got Cowboys by 3. Dallas suffered a tough loss to the Detroit Lions at Detroit. They were, Cowboys were rolling right now. They've been moving hot. They just, they've been rolling. They've been moving. They've been grooving. And then they lose to the Lions. They got to bounce back this weekend against the Vikings. They could basically put the knockout punch on the Vikings season. Both of these teams, too. And J.J. McCarthy played really well. He threw 3 touchdown passes last week in the middle of the Commanders. I also think, too, it's the Commanders. They're not playing that well this year. They've actually been worse this year, and that's just because Jaden Daniels hasn't been healthy. I got Cowboys winning this one by 3. I think Dak Prescott has a really good game. I think Dak has a good game against this team. Brian Flores, I think, is going to make it close and keep this game relatively close to where the Vikings can pull off, once again, some of their magic in the fourth quarter. But I got Dak Prescott, or as the great philosopher Trap House Sports says, Dak Ramon Prescott. Picking the Cowboys here by 3. Now moving on to the last game, the Monday Night Football game, Dolphins at Steelers. I got Steelers by 3. I got Aaron Rodgers winning this one. He pulled off a big win last week against Baltimore, but not so fast, though. The Ravens do play the Steelers again pretty soon. Dolphins, however, have been slowly but surely climbing their way back into this playoff race. They're not eliminated yet, but a win over the Steelers could put them in a pretty good spot to try and keep pace for at least a wild card spot. However, I got the Steelers winning this one by 3. I got Aaron Rodgers winning this game for Pittsburgh. I got the Steelers getting the job done. I have them winning it by 3. So with that does it for us here. I'll put this up on the screen too. Watch Snap the Pigskin wherever you listen to your podcasts, or on youtube.com/@snapthepigskin. We do really appreciate all the support and the love that you send us every single week and every single time with these episodes. We only got a few more weeks left before the playoffs start, and I cannot wait. The regular season this year has been wild. Cannot wait till the regular season starts, and cannot wait to talk about the postseason with all of you. So with that does it for us here. I'm Noah Clark. This has been another edition of Snap the Pigskin.